Welcome to Pull the Pin Already, a place where average veterans come to share their opinions of the world we live in. We can't guarantee you're going to like our opinions, but we promise we're going to enjoy giving them to you. Welcome, Ryan. What's going on?
Another glorious day in paradise. How you doing?
Paradise. Well, every day's a holiday. You just don't get holiday pay.
That's right.
Yeah. So what is it? What is it we want to talk about today?
Well, I think the only thing you can talk about today, the thing that's blowing up all the airwaves, of course, Ukraine.
And you say that too. And it's so funny when I went to look at the source I use for headlines. I mean, everything is about Ukraine. Everything. Yeah. I mean, even in like LGBT rights are what distinguishes us from Putin, says UK spy boss. I mean, like, what does that have to do with anything? They're just finding ways to make everything about Ukraine.
Yeah, as it should be, I guess, right? I mean, that's the story. It's what's selling the papers for those guys. But it's weird to watch this war on CNN. It really is. I mean, it feels like obviously like Iraq. Looking at Iraq, watching it on CNN. It's nuts to watch, man. It really is.
Well, let's address the elephant in the room. I mean, the elephant in the room is war, right? Mm-hmm. So we know war, right? We were in the military, whether we were in combat or not. We prepared for it. We trained for it. So no matter how we look at this or what angles we come from, we both probably agree that war is bad. You know what I mean? We don't want war because people are dying, innocent people, civilians. People have nothing to do with it. Honestly, that's coming from the Ukraine side, unless there's, civilians fighting with the Russians. Mm-hmm. But war's bad. So now that we got that out of the way and nobody thinks we're endorsing any of that stuff with our opinions, what do you think about the whole concept? Like, why do you even think this is happening?
Honestly, I think it's been said a few times. Honestly, I really do believe it's that Putin wants to try to become the next czar. He wants to get all the Russians, the original Russia back together. Become the empire it was at one point, and now he becomes the next czar of Russia, which is stupid. I mean, honestly, I've heard multiple things, but that's the one I think is probably the closest to the truth. I don't think. God, it's hard to tell you honestly what I think his opinions are, what I think his thoughts are, because he lies so bad. It's hard to get a handle on what's the truth out of him. But he may be pushing to make all of Europe part of Russia. I don't know, but it seems like that would be one crazy move on his part.
Well, I don't really know what's in Putin's mind either, right? And I mean, when I look at the concept, like, people here in America, they can't even tell you where Ukraine is, right? I mean, so the fact that everybody's so worried about Ukraine, but yet nobody seemed to give a damn about Hong Kong. I mean, I'm with the other people. Like, okay, Putin, maybe he's bad. Maybe he's trying to get the USSR back together. Maybe he is. But at the end of the day, I think we've lost so much trust in our government that I've got this just feeling that there's something way wrong about all of this.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think for the first time in a long time, our government is doing something on the right side. Honestly, that's how I feel about it. I feel like for the first time in a long time, I can agree with the president of this country doing the right thing at the right time. I mean, he's stepping up to the plate and he's doing the sanctions he needs to put in place without putting our soldiers over there. He's called them out on his BS on every step of the road. And there's no question, I'm not a Biden fan, but I like how he's handling this. I do.
Do you really? I mean, I watched a video. Biden gave an announcement about the sanctions, saying that he was going to put sanctions on Russia to prevent them from attacking. And then 2 days later, they attacked. And I watched Biden tell the people that the sanctions weren't designed to prevent Russia from attacking.
Well, Biden's lost in his own world sometimes on what comes out of his mouth. I mean, these sanctions would never stop Russia from attacking. Russia's going to attack if Russia wants to attack. It's to deter them from attacking, if at all possible, to kind of help them realize that there are going to be consequences to their action. I can't say that it would ever, anything we did, even if we put troops in Ukraine, wouldn't stop Russia from attacking. They were going to attack. They cleared that out, with all their BS. Oh, we're just training. Yeah. On all three sides in, sure, you're just training. And you blocked out the sea. That looks like a training exercise. So, anything we would have done, that was going to happen. Heck, we knew about it before the Olympics. they came out and said, hey, the idea was after the Olympics, he was going to attack. And what did he do? Right after the Olympics, he attacked, So, I mean, we couldn't stop him from doing what he's going to do. The thing is can we stop him now that he's done it without putting military boots on the ground? And I do like the fact that he's geared up all the troops. I mean, he's put a lot of troops over there in Europe right now, as far as in the NATO countries. So if he does try to take it the next step, he knows we're going to be there. He's gonna have an American war at that point. He may not care. I think Putin's crazy as hell. I think he has lost his ever loving mind. I think he's Hitler reincarnated.
Really, I personally believe that's what they want you to think. And in no way do I support Hitler or think Hitler, Putin, Trump, whatever you want to call them, the flavor of the month, because that's a great example. Like I'm saying, they portrayed Trump to be this evil guy too. How much of that is actually being pushed on Putin? Like I said, I don't know what he's thinking, but I do know when I stop and look at this, because I started looking into that whole NATO thing, right? And let's be real, NATO's probably a good idea, but NATO was formed, with 12 countries, and they even had an agreement back, I think in 2004 or something, where Russia said, look, you can't keep pushing close to our borders. We don't want missiles right next to us. And that's what all of, I think, Ukraine's issue with Russia's issue with Ukraine was it Ukraine wanted to join NATO.
But they already said that they weren't going to let them join NATO. They already came out and said, we're not letting them, they're not joining NATO. That's not what we're trying to do here. If they tell them that from the get-go, I mean, you can only judge a horse by, you can only judge somebody by what they do, not by what they say, because obviously a lot has been said and nothing's been done. I can tell you they hadn't joined NATO. I hadn't seen, I mean, as far as I know, there were nothing in play that pushing towards them joining NATO other than them wanting to join NATO,
Right. Well, that's what I said. I was saying Putin was promised before that they weren't going to encroach on his borders, because let's think about it. Okay, whether Putin's crazy or not, if that was the United States, let's say that was the United States and you had NATO was China or Russia itself, like at what point do we say, whoa, enough is enough? You said you weren't coming closer. Now you're coming closer. Now this country's talking about joining. And I mean, the other elephant in the room, Joe Biden, Burisma, hello, we have a serious connection to Ukraine that's full of corruption. And half of Ukraine, I think, is Russian. So
they said it was something like 17%.
Well, I think the whole 2 states that he took originally were all Russian.
Yeah, but that was such a small factor of all of Ukraine, though.
Sure, and even I looked back at the history of Ukraine just because I was curious. Not that I know this stuff, because I'm not a really history buff. Right. Even my son, like I said, knows more than me. But Ukraine has been declared independence 3 times already. So clearly they keep getting taken over, and because I think in the beginning they belonged to Poland or something, and then so this is a country that's been mixed and meshed for years. So at the end of the day, I mean, how are they a pivot in everything right now? Like, what do they have that makes America so concerned? Or are we just butting in again in places where we really have no say?
Well, okay, let's take that in 3 steps here. Firstly, I don't know if Ukraine's been taken over many times. What I did look up and see was that what I think it is Ukraine leadership goes back and forth. So you have leadership that I know they overthrew the leadership back in 2014, but that leadership was more pro-Russian than they were, pro democracy. Where the people of Ukraine overthrew the leadership at the time. It wasn't that it was overtaken. It was overtaken by the people of the country and put in new leadership. And that's kind of where I think that one went. But we have, just to answer your question before, we have had Russian missiles on our, close to us. They were in Cuba. But we didn't go invade Cuba. We embargoed them, but we didn't invade them. That's a huge difference between us and the Russian mindset. On the third thing is, I don't think we're necessarily butting in. We weren't putting missiles in Russia, in Ukraine. We weren't putting anything in Ukraine. Now Russia's there and can actually see, hey, there isn't anything here, but we weren't doing it, So I think it'd been different if we'd have gone into Ukraine and started setting up, missiles. But on the other side of that, do we really want to have Russia take over Ukraine and then be on the border of NATO countries? That's the good thing about Ukraine, where it is, and not being in NATO, not being in Russia. It's right in the middle of the two, and it kind of is a good little divider. The second Russia takes that over, they're backed up to NATO countries with missiles on the border.
Right. I think Russia's concern was, well, you put missiles in Ukraine, and you're what, right there at Moscow. Like
right, I agree, and we weren't. I mean, that's kind of, I think, the idea is that we weren't trying to get them into NATO because we understood there was that sensitive ground.
Right.
And I think on the same thing on the other side is that we don't want Russia in there because there's that sensitive ground. If they're in there, they're closer to the European countries, and that puts them where they're in easily. Well, I mean, they're a missile striking distance already. It's not like they can hit us, but.
And I think Russia has no reason to trust us or NATO. I really just think they don't, and no different than we don't trust them. And I agree with you. Like the occupying Ukraine, or we don't even know if they're occupying. Maybe they're just moving in to send a message and then withdraw. We don't even really know what the intention was. But I still think that's not the right attitude, because even if Ukraine joined NATO and missiles were put there, you're going under the assumption that we are going, nor NATO, not we, but since we kind of run almost entire NATO, that we are going to invade Russia. That I think is unrealistic. I mean, but then again, like I said, I mean, our government has done crazy things I didn't, think they'd do anyway. So, I mean, if Putin's even remotely crazy or borderline, crazy, I'd be a little concerned too. I would. But I just don't know.
He's pathological, though. I mean, you heard the same thing I did. I mean, whether it's on, CNN, Fox, I've been watching BBC just to get the other side, just a different point of view on it, too. No matter what it is, you're all seeing Putin saying the same thing in the beginning. We're doing training exercise. We have no interest in going in there. I mean, he has blatantly lied to everybody's face, and now he's lying on the other side. We saw I don't know if you saw it, but I saw the video that was being aired on the Russian TV, it's showing us, we're liberating these people. We're doing great things, and it's not. They're doing, I mean, it's just I don't know how he comes back after this. Does that make sense? I don't know how you come back as a world leader after lying so bad, so openly to everybody, and just publicly lying. I mean, I get that there's a level of politics that's behind the scenes, and I don't see.
Sorry, Ryan. You said you don't know how he comes back when our government's been lying to us constantly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a level. That's what I'm getting to now. There's a level of political lies that goes on, and there's a web of lies in politics. I get. It's there. It's going to be there, but it's not so in your face. You don't know that they're lying to you. You think they're lying to you. You can kind of go back and cross compare some things that may not line up exactly, but it's not so blatant in your face of we're not going, and then they're there. You know what I mean? Even though people didn't know that that's what they were doing. They said, they're out of fuel, they're out of supplies. They walked in there going, we didn't know what we were coming in here for. We just knew we were supposed to be coming in here. We were doing training exercises, and now we're here. He's lied so bad and so openly to the public, to everybody. I mean, how do you place this man back in a seat and say, yeah, okay, well, we got peace now. You go on, you be the world power that you were. You go out and be the power of Russia like you were, and we'll take you seriously, because you can't.
You see, here's what bothers me, and I keep going back to what you talked about Biden. You can president, he's sanctioned, he's doing what he needed, but I think he's the cause of all this. I really do. I think he's the cause of this. Not that we can predict it. Obviously, we can't say. Everybody wants to say if Trump was in office, it wouldn't happen. No. But he was in office 4 years, and it didn't happen. But Biden literally sat on television and said things. Again, this is the stuff that drives me freaking insane. He said that we're going to have to take some risk or some, what did he say? We're going to have to suffer some consequences for freedom. And he's doing everything he can to keep gas prices down. And I'm sitting here thinking, no, you're not. Start fracking, start producing our own gas like we did before. And then we start selling gas to all the countries Russia's selling to, and we bankrupt Russia. We don't approve a pipeline, which we did. I mean, I'm not buying that crap that, Biden's doing I think he created this because he could have stopped this a long time ago. We could have bankrupt. Why did we let the pipeline go through? Why did he stop ours and let theirs go through?
So, in that, I see what you're saying, and what you're saying makes sense in that aspect. Now, Biden's not going to do that. Biden's not going to. No Democrat's going to come into office and let let that pipe go. They're just not going to do it. It's a matter of they're trying to appease the eco world, the tree hugging people of the world, and they're just not going to do it. I mean, to that level, if we, how do I say this? I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. So if we stop buying the gas from Russia, which obviously it doesn't matter if we do or don't, if the banks are accepting the payment, right? We can take the import all day long. But I think to that point, he's kind of put that out there where, yeah, we can still buy it, but they can't accept the payment. Does that make sense? So right now we can take all the gas we want from them, but they're not going to.
But that's irrelevant, Ryan. That's what I'm saying. That is irrelevant. Trump already put us in energy independence. Trump had us producing oil and selling it.
Yeah, he did.
Which is Russia's #1 export.
Yes, it is.
Biden gets in office and he stops all of that, approves Russia's natural gas pipeline, and then here we are. We're going to put sanctions on Russia. What are you talking about? You just made Russia rich, and then you just made them in control of NATO, because basically all those European, you made them in control of all their energy. And then you're going to sit here on television and say, well, we're doing all we can. No, you're not.
Well, hold on. So in that aspect, I think he is, because he's not, we already know, I mean, we're debating something that no matter what we do, he's not going to go back to. He's not going to go back to fracking. I mean,
right. But
he's
that's
an environmentalist in the heart. He's not going to do it.
But that's a lie then, because he's not doing all he can do because he doesn't want to do that.
He's doing all he can do within the means that he thinks is
that
right
he
for this
wants
country.
to do. Right.
Well,
yes.
he wants to do, yeah, but his mind, he's destroying the world by fracking. He's destroying the world by pulling this pipeline through. So yes, within the means of what he can, what he's going to do, he's doing the best that he can.
So let me ask you this then. So is this war in Ukraine closer to destroying the world, or could we frack for a little longer and prevent the planet from exploding in the next 2 months?
Well, he's not going to do that, though. I mean,
but that's my point. My point is even
we're arguing something that no matter what we argue about, he's just not going to do that. He's looking for another alternative as far as, getting more fuel from the Middle East or getting more gas from the Middle East or however we have to pull it in. But cutting off pipe, I mean, he cut the pipe off in Germany, and even they did that,
But that's what I'm saying to you, right? Right? How do you sit there and tell the American people who are paying almost $4 for gas that we're doing everything we can when there is literally a solution that you may not like, but is not going to end the world in the next year if you just start pumping out your own gas and start lowering our prices? Maybe people would support you.
He honestly came out and did tell us, hey, it's going to hurt everybody. He didn't lie to anybody on that aspect.
But it doesn't have to. Why does our gas prices have to be so high? Because he believes fracking's bad. Because we've been doing it for years.
I mean, honestly, I think fracking's bad. I really do think fracking's bad.
And that's okay. But why not do it to alleviate right now the pressure on American people?
Because we don't know at what point fracking is going to cause something major. You know what I mean? We don't know if we can do it for another 6 months. Well, in that 6 months, it could be we don't know what point the fracking could do some damage. We don't.
So you're saying the risk of fracking outweighs us suffering?
No, I'm saying the lack of knowledge of it, the lack of understanding behind the science behind it. I really don't know. I don't know if fracking another 6 months will do more damage than good. I don't know. So how am I going to argue for something that I don't know? Like if I knew that fracking was going to be okay for the next 6 months, I'd say, yeah, let's do that. But I don't.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. So you don't know what fracking will do, but you do know what will happen if we can't afford to pay for gas. You do know what will happen if our country starts collapsing and nobody's got money and all this inflation. You do know what will happen then.
Right, I do know what happened then. But
so I would err on the side of let's go with something we don't know to stop something we do know is going to be detrimental.
Well, I don't know what he's going to do in the next 2 or 3 months if this war keeps going. I don't think he's planning on this war going more than what I would think is 30-day period. So I don't think he's talking about a long term as in, honestly, I would be surprised, and I give all the credit in the world to the Ukraine people. They are doing an amazing job fighting the Russians. Amazing. Strongest president I've seen. And I would vote for that guy. He can come here and run, I'd vote for him. I mean, comedian be gone. He is a president, and he is a leader. But I forgot where I was going with this damn point. But I mean, I don't see. That's what it was. I don't see them holding up the Russian army. I don't see it. So I do think within the next 30 days, Russia will have Ukraine if it keeps going.
So, so is this going to lead to some big war?
It already has in that aspect. Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
I think if it goes past Ukraine, it will, because we're not going to get involved unless it hits a NATO country. If it hits a NATO
so
country,
that's
yeah.
my question though. So Putin has already threatened if anyone strikes back, whatever he threw that nuclear word out there. They have more nukes than we have. Collectively, I don't know. Yeah, they think they still do.
Yeah, they do. They do a lot more.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, you're telling me taking a chance at fracking for a little more longer is way more riskier than facing the potential World War III.
Well, I don't think you're looking at the aspect that we're going to use these nukes, and I know he put on high alert.
No, I'm looking at the aspect that Putin may use the nukes. You started this out saying he's off his rocker and crazy.
Oh, he is off his rocker. I don't think that. I like to think, and this is my mindset. Russia is a powerful country. Putin is very powerful because the Russian people let him be. That's absolutely the rule of thumb. If this turns into a World War III, I would like to think that the Russian people would pull him out of office before we had to.
Sure, and there is some revolts there. There's some little protests. There is obviously, but there also is in Ukraine. There's also people that support Russia.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's 70% that are Russian. I don't know if they support him. You know what? That's the media hype part of it too, though. Okay, we're gonna believe the media on certain things, or not at all. You know what I mean? Because that's the media saying, "Oh well, Putin's there because he said the Russian people there want him to come in." But those same Russian people are there fighting against him right now. So I don't know which Russian people are wanting in there.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. But we don't know, right? Because we're not there.
No, but I the way I'm looking at this, what's going on in the streets right now over there. I mean, they're capturing actual uniformed soldiers. Civilians are capturing uniformed soldiers out there right now, for God's sake. For the way they're fighting right now, I really don't think Russian people in Ukraine had any call for action from Putin. I really don't see it.
Well, the reason I brought up the history of Ukraine, that's why I'm saying the history of Ukraine. I'm not an expert at all. Like I said, I was just reading about it. There are multiple factions. It's almost like the Middle East.
Yeah,
so there are Russians that support Russia, that want to be part of Russia in Ukraine. So those internal things, maybe it's a minority. I don't know. I can't speak for that. But those things exist. And that's what you call the Civil War. Like when we had ours, Russia didn't come over and say, hey, you need to stop. No, they have their own war. And that's why I'm saying if Ukraine had a problem, let them handle it, and then they'll figure out what to go with it.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to scream real quick.
You're just scream at the Russians. So
I came in and turned off the light, so I was like, man, come on.
So at the end of the day, I'm not really sure what to say or care about Ukraine. I really don't know. I mean, I don't want to see innocent people die. I don't want to see anybody die. So
I don't want to see anybody that's as brave as these people are go on. I mean, I think these guys are amazing. I really do. And you're right. Almost like the rest of the world, I probably wouldn't have known where Ukraine was on the map if you'd have said it 3 weeks ago. But I do now. I absolutely do now. And I'm very impressed with them.
Well, of course. And you see what they did, right? They issued civilians rifles.
Yeah. 1 for every 10.
Well, gee, what a concept.
Yeah.
I wonder,
you know what?
I wonder.
Talking about, I said, man, this is like the American Revolution, honestly.
Oh, wait. Are you saying this could never happen in the U.S., so we don't need rifles?
Right.
Okay, now I get it. So literally, we're split in half right now, but we could never go to war inside or go against our government, right? Okay, so I get it. So yeah, let them have rifles. That's great for them. They're awesome. They're heroes, but we don't need them.
Right.
Because it could never happen here.
Because it's happening in schools here. We have 1 out of every, I mean, not to say, I don't want to get into that topic either, because that's going to make a lot of people mad at me if I say that one. But I mean, honestly, and it's horrible that it does happen in a school, but I think if more people were armed, it wouldn't have happened in the school.
Well, yeah, but I like I said, again, this is what, I don't know what you do all day. Like, I don't know if you sit and watch the media. That I don't trust the media anymore. And you bring up a point like that. This is what's happening in schools. You can literally take all the school shootings and put them in your hand and be like, oh, look at all that.
That's what I'm getting at, yeah.
But you don't know anything about what's happening in the streets and the violence that goes on without rifles. And you don't know what the government is doing to people, taking their lands, blocking people up because they gathered at the, like, you kidding me?
Yeah. That was kind
So-
of my point. That's what I was getting at too. You said it better, but I'm not trying to offend anybody with the schools. But yeah, it's such a small percentage of how guns are used in this country compared to protecting ourselves and what that's worth. That's kind of
Right.
what I
And
was getting at.
I seen it, Ryan. I seen it. There was I don't remember whose tweet it was, but I saw somebody show two tweets 6 years apart. One was about, it was a gun, like an anti-gun tweet. Oh, we shouldn't, American citizens shouldn't have guns, blah, blah. And then now they're like, oh, look at these brave soldiers. Thank goodness they gave them all guns. Like, this just highlights again the hypocrisy.
Oh, yeah.
And even if, like you said, going back to Biden, Ryan, even if, like you said, that he doesn't believe fracking is good, he can still do it in defiance of his beliefs to solve an issue. Or he can say it. Yes, we can produce our own oil because we did 4 years of it, but I'm not willing to do that because I believe it's a greater danger than the possible outcomes of this. But you tell the American people.
Let's call it out this way. I mean, American politics aside, where are you on what Russia's doing?
I don't think war should happen, period. I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know, because like I said, I don't trust our media or our government. We could be totally being lied to. Russia might have a legitimate reason. From what I see, I don't think it's a legitimate reason, and I don't like war, period. So like I said, the active war to me is wrong, period. You shouldn't have to go kill people to prove your point. You know what I mean? Even if you want to get in the Pugil pit and, duke it out that way, you don't have to kill people, especially innocent people. So I'm totally against war, period. I hate war, even though I was prepared to fight, and, I hate it. So why Russia's doing it, I don't know. Trump was accused of many things he wasn't, period. He still, do you know that Trump not assassinated, I don't think that was the right word. What he did to those Russian Spetsnaz or whatever those special forces, what do they call them? I don't know what they're. He had a bunch of Russians killed when he told Putin, you do this. It never made the news. It never made the news. I just found out about the other day. I found out the other day. Somebody's like, yeah, this is something. And he was in I think a Green Beret on somebody's podcast that was talking about it.
Wait, because we don't know that happened. We're listening to this guy who's telling us it happened. It's the same concept. I mean, it really is. I mean,
sure. We don't know what to trust anymore. That's the problem.
Well, we wouldn't know what to trust anyway. That's why I like to look at the BBC. I like to look at other. Even if I had to go watch Al Jazeera, I'd watch Al Jazeera. Whatever I need to watch to get more sides of the story. Does that make sense?
Right. But where I'm going with this is, like, I know Mike had an issue one time with this. Like, if you say you were this from I would trust you in your personal experience long before I would trust the media. Well, they would have to prove to me, just word alone, I would trust you over the media, because the intentions, you wouldn't have any malicious intention. If you did, maybe you wanted to make yourself look good. Maybe you wanted to feel like you knew something we didn't know. Like even that story I just told you, I might be telling you that just because I want to feel cool, like I know something you don't know.
Right.
But this man has more credibility to me than any major mainstream media outlet who's being told what to say, who's being told what they can and can't cover.
I don't trust the media any more than anybody else. I promise you that. But when I'm watching the man from multiple resources say the same crap that we have no intentions of invading, Ukraine, and then he does it, that is about as big as a lie as you could put it. I mean, no matter if somebody called him in or not, whether his people were, oh, please come, I don't care. You said you were not going to do it.
Right. So a lie's a lie, right?
A lie's a lie. I mean, but in that aspect, to the point where. And once again, I'm trying to define the difference between the political bullshit that goes around, as far as, I know there's lies in politics. They do it all the time. Mm-hmm. They do. But the political bullshit compared to, hey, world, we're safe, we're not. So, I mean, right now, I'm not going to use my nuclear arsenal. There's the button. I mean, what's this? Everything he said so far is lied. It's been the complete opposite. How can you trust? I mean, I just don't trust anything. I can say that the media does lie. Absolutely. 100%? No, not 100%. It's hard to define what's a lie and what's not. Putin has lied about every single thing.
Well, I don't know if he's lied about everything, but
everything that he said about not coming in and then all that.
He's lost your trust. He's lost your trust, but no different than the government or the president's lost mine.
Well, he's
So,
lost his own people's trust. They're over there protesting the street about him. The same way.
well, not all of them, because obviously his police went and arrested him. I saw a video about that. So
That's one
obviously he's
though.
got people following him.
That's the next thing is I don't understand, and the 200 soldiers that gave up saying, I don't know why we're here. I get that mentality of it. The people are what give them power. The people are the only thing that give that one little man power.
Yeah.
So why the hell are the police following him then? Why the hell are anybody following? There's a small regime of people in that around his political world that, yes, they'll do anything he says because they're bankrolling off of what he's doing. But the people that aren't, which is most of Russia, which is honestly, from what I understand, they have the population is dwindling. They're almost all freaking starving, and they're poor. They're a poor, poor country. Russia's going down the pipes. There's no reason for us to invade Russia, let alone put freaking missiles on their border. They're killing themselves. I guess, why are these people not like the police and the soldiers? Why are they following the orders of this guy?
You know what's funny, Ryan? I can ask the same thing right here in this very country.
I guess you could. And one
or Canada. Canada's a great example. Why is dictator Trudeau saying, "Oh, get rid of these protesters," and then men on horses stomping over people who ain't doing anything? You can ask the same thing here. Why are people following what we believe or you believe to be something that they shouldn't be doing? Which right there leads me to believe we may not know the true story, because then we have to assume.
You know as well as I do. If we have an unmoral order or anything like that, anything that is deemed to be that we would deem to be
unlawful, right? You don't have to follow an unlawful order, right?
Follow it. But that's almost exactly what they're doing. They're committing genocide right now. They're out there doing the same thing Germany did in the 1930s. That means same concept.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, Ryan, this is good. I like this because we just talked about fracking, right?
Right.
Now, you might consider that unlawful, immoral, like it's destroying the planet. And I might say, dude, the planet was created for us and there's plenty to go around. We can use it. So we have two different opinions there to start with. So how do we determine what we do? And how do we keep from us going to war with each other over those two different beliefs? And who's right?
I want to clarify something. My fracking belief is that I don't know enough about the information about fracking to not be scared of it. So I don't know what 6 more months of fracking will do. I don't know the science behind it. I know the basic idea of what fracking does. And from what I understand, there's an environmental risk to it, which we've already have enough environmental risk. And I'm no environmentalist in any way, fashion, or form. But we already do enough things in this world to really fuck up the environment. If we can cease one, okay, I'm okay with that. Don't get me wrong, the pipeline would be great. It would definitely lower our gas prices. But I'm over here honestly trying to look at more of a hybrid or electric car in the near future that I could buy.
And that's okay. And I think the country and the people in the country would have gone that way anyway. I mean, that's what we do. We innovate, we create, that's what we do.
Yep.
So to force things like that because of your belief, and that's all I'm saying right now, even if your belief is fracking is bad, suspend that, because we just had 4 years of $2 gas because we were producing oil. Suspend that. And when you're going to tell people I'm doing everything I can, you're not, because you can still do that. Whether you like it or not, you can still do it. So
everything he can within that moral high ground.
Well, he didn't say that.
And that's what he meant. I knew that's what he meant.
Well, Putin meant he wasn't attacking right now. That's what Putin meant.
He wasn't attacking. He said he wasn't invading, and right. He did.
But he meant right now. That's what he meant right now.
Okay, yeah. I see where you're going with that.
Exactly.
He's not going to do that route because it's considered in his world.
But Ryan, what I'm saying, this is what makes it so entertaining, even these conversations, because we are both implying something that we don't even know.
I mean, if I didn't, and that's 90% of every conversation we're going to have. There's going to be we're going to apply something.
Exactly.
There's what Putin did was straight out lie. There's no freaking ifs, ands, or buts about it.
And you can say that, and I'm going to tell you right now, Biden straight out lied too, because he didn't.
I like the way Biden's handling. I really do. I like that. The only thing I've ever said I like Biden the way he's handled. That's probably.
I don't think he's doing enough. I think he created it. I don't think he's doing enough.
How do you think he created it? I'm kind of lost on how you think.
I told you how he created it.
Explain that to me again.
What do you mean? Well, first of all, he's in cahoots with Ukraine, period. I mean, we already know that, right?
That's fine, yeah.
So he was the one that approved Russia's pipeline. Russia gets their pipeline, and that is their 70% of their economy.
Okay.
He approved it.
Yeah.
He stopped us from being oil independent. So now we're buying, and half of Europe is buying from Russia. So
Okay.
he gave Russia the upper hand.
Okay.
Then he goes out and tells Russia what he's going to do or not do before Russia even decides what to do. Remember, he said something. Well, it depends if it's a I don't know what his words were. If it was a big attack or a little attack, or like, what are you talking about?
Okay, yeah, but when he said that, Russia was sitting on the border with their training exercises. It's not like they weren't already there. I mean,
but it doesn't matter. Why would you tell them? Well, we're only going to do something if it's a major attack. If it's a minor attack,
no, I give it to you. You're right. He should have. His words were shit for that. And
that's what I'm saying. He
he
almost provoked it. He almost said, "Oh, well, go ahead. We're not going to do anything unless it's major." Well, what's major? I don't know yet. Right. We'll see when it happens.
Okay, I get that, but he didn't. When you say he created it, you're saying not that he created this war.
Well, no. I mean, this all was brewing many years.
Okay,
obviously.
So that's what I'm a little lost. I thought you were saying he created this war that we're in.
No. But he allowed it to happen. Where, like I said, whether you like it or not,
he put more dependency on Russia, which allowed us to be hurt by this war.
Yeah, he gave Russia the upper hand in the beginning. And now that Ukraine is suffering, he's telling us we need to suffer while we watch Ukraine suffer and then see what happens. Because he even said these sanctions aren't going to be effective for 30 days.
Well, that's probably very true.
What's the purpose of them? And you can even look at the history. There's a guy who broke it down. He said no sanction has ever worked in history. Every time we've sanctioned countries, they've still attacked.
And it may not have worked to stop a war in the beginning. But it could work for peace in the long run, is what I'm thinking. And I never expected the sanctions to stop Russia from coming in. Never did. If Russia was going to come in, they were going to come in. My thought was that the sanctions will help them ultimately get to a table and get peace. Because, I mean, once you take them off that world ledger, that's a whole thing. The banking system.
Well, that's SWIFT, but that just happened, Ryan.
It did just happen. No, it
didn't happen before.
A lot of the countries. We started this stuff, a few days ago. Now, Japan just got on it. And all these other countries just came in. I think Switzerland just came on it, but we started this process a few days back. It's not like we just did it today. They've only been attacking really for 4 days. We didn't put sanctions on it before we went in there.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. What does it matter now? They're already in there.
Right, but if we can create that economy crash, yes, it won't happen for 30 days. But I don't expect why the war may not last more than 30 days. The people of Ukraine are going to be revolting well after Russia's done with what they're doing. So I think it could have a long-term effect.
Well, I think it goes back to a point you brought up earlier: is what is Putin's end game? Like, where does he go from here? Like, what is? I mean, he definitely, if he's crazy enough and pushes forward, he knows where it's going to lead. And maybe there's some conspiracy theories. Obviously, got to call them that because everything is conspiracy theory until it's true. But there's some talk that this is a distraction for China, for China to walk into Taiwan while we're all over here. Oh, look at Russia! Look at Russia! I mean, there's some talk of that stuff. What if it's real? Russia and China have been connecting because that's what we've managed to do. We've managed to push Russia out, so they need to find a new ally.
Well, Russia's been an ally with China. That's a new thing.
But we've solidified it. And do you think that NATO, the rest of the world, can take on a China-Russia front? Do you think we can do that?
I think it would be the end of wars.
Yeah.
I think that would be. But the other side of that is, I wanted to bring this up earlier too. Where is the outcry for Taiwan? The outcry around the world has been there for Ukraine, but where's the outcry for Taiwan?
But that's my point. I mentioned that earlier when I talked about Hong Kong. You were censored if you said free Hong Kong. But now all of a sudden you got celebrities, you got everybody. Oh, Ukraine. This is why I don't believe it all. Because it seems well fabricated.
I mean, there's obviously some high-level political shit that we may not know, but I believe that the people of Ukraine fighting in the streets, I believe that war it's critical right now. Honestly, I don't know if it's critical for NATO. I don't know if it's critical for democracy in that level. I guess in some aspects it is, but I think it is critical for the people of Ukraine, and that's I feel very important, very strongly for. And I'm very proud.
Suffering.
Well, I'm more than that. They're more than suffering. I mean, they are so strong. And it really reminds me of America, a young America coming into play. You know, when we fought we fought the British, we fought, France, we fought everybody, to get America where we are. And it looks like they're going that same route. It touches me in that avenue, man. It touches me in that how hard these guys are fighting. I honestly wish it was like World War One, and I guess the beginning of World War II, technically, where they would let veterans of America go over there and fight with them. Because I would.
Yeah. Well, let me know how that goes. Take pictures.
You got it. I'll send
I
you
am not dying for a country I have no idea or care.
And for what it's against, I would. I mean, I feel like these people are fighting so hard. They want their independence. They want their country.
You're going to be needed here to fight for your country. So
right now, I don't. Right now, it's just like World War One and World War II in the beginning. We weren't in it, right?
Not yet. You're not.
No,
but you will be.
Maybe
you will be needed.
Maybe. Well, all right. My country won't take me anymore. They may want my ass. So.
Of course not, right? But we still know how to do what we need to do with crutches and walkers.
Let me go over there. I'll be animal 120, baby.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, Ryan. Unless you got some alibis, I'm gonna wrap this up because we could go on. We hopefully maybe get another episode going out of this because things are obviously going to be fluid and change. Maybe we'll get some more vets on here and get their opinion. Maybe some got some personal experiences. Maybe one of them's got a Ukrainian wife. I don't know.
I'll tell you who I think would be cool if we could ever get in here is that one, some of those pilots that have gone head to head with those bigs that are pushing them out of the way and stuff, just to kind of get their impression of what Russia aggression really is. Yeah,
well, like I said, I mean, I would just settle for some real raw truth. You know what I mean? I don't want to go to mainstream media. I want people who know what's going on here. Ukrainian citizens, like, the guy from Parliament from Ukraine was on mainstream media. Or I don't know if they call it Parliament, but I was listening to him speak and him appealing to, Americans trying to, keep Ukrainian in fight, so I'm like with you, like my sentiments, yes, for these people, but in the same token, like I'm tired of Americans dying all over the world for people who could give a damn less about us.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're not coming here to fix our problems, So in fact, they're, allowing Hunter Biden to do all that crap and work on. So they're actually creating problems for our country. So in that aspect, I'm not excited about going to Ukraine, but I do feel for humankind, period. So, but hopefully we get some other vets on here, share some opinions, get some raw details. You got anything else you want to add before we close out here?
Go Ukraine.
Go Ukraine. There you go. Free Hong Kong. What else?
Ukraine, Taiwan.
Protect Taiwan.
There you go.
Yeah, I got you. All right. Well, thanks, Ryan, for joining me. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you all for listening to us. And get on here if you're a veteran. You can go to our website, pullthepinready.com. Any way you can contact us, just get on here. We want to know your opinion. So until then, Godspeed.
And pull the pin.
Thanks for joining us here at Pull the Pin Already. We hope you had as much fun as we did. If you like what we do, go ahead and hit that like button and share this video with a friend. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button so you don't miss out on any of our future episodes. But most importantly, leave a comment below. Let us know if you agree or disagree with our opinion. Hope to see you here next time on Pull the Pin Already.